Imagine a sprawling, opulent civilization thriving in a place where survival itself seemed a cruel joke. A land so parched, so utterly devoid of life-giving water that even the hardiest desert creatures struggled to endure. You're looking at it right now. This is a place where less than 4 inches of rain might fall in an entire year. A place of scorching winds, relentless sun, and an ancient, unforgiving silence. Yet, here, against all odds, a powerful people built an empire. They carved magnificent cities directly into towering cliffs, fostered lush farms in the barren earth, and dominated the most lucrative trade routes of their era. Their secret: it wasn't gold or steel or an invincible army alone. It was something far more fundamental, far more ingenious, and something they guarded with a ferocity that defied belief. Their secret was water. This isn't just a story about survival, it's a testament to human ingenuity pushed to its absolute breaking point. A tale of how a desert people transformed the very concept of impossibility into a blueprint for unparalleled prosperity. And what they achieved 2 millennia ago holds vital lessons for us, even today. Let's rewind. Back to a time when empires rose and fell by the sword, but often lived and died by the availability of resources. Our story centers on a remarkable people we'll call the Stone Carvers. Their legacy is etched into the very rock of history, yet their most astonishing achievement lies hidden, largely forgotten, beneath the unforgiving sands of what we'll call the Great Arid Expanse. From the 4th century BCE to the 1st century CE, the Stone Carvers forged a kingdom that stretched across these sun-scorched wastes. Their crown jewel, the city of Cliffside Haven, was a marvel of architecture, a bustling hub for the coveted Crimson Sands route, where exotic spices, precious frankincense, and rare silks flowed between continents. But here's the stark reality. This magnificent civilization existed in the desert. Not near a great river, not beside an oasis, but smack in the middle of a brutal, hyper-arid zone. The very air seemed to steal moisture, the ground thirsted insatiably, and rainfall was a rare fleeting mercy, often less than 100 millimeters annually. To put that in perspective, many modern deserts considered extreme receive far more. How do you build and sustain a metropolis, feed an army, support a vast trading network, and cultivate crops in a land designed to starve you of every drop? The conventional wisdom would scream, impossible. And for any other people, it would have been. But the Stone Carvers were not just any people. They understood the desert not as an enemy to be fought, but as a riddle to be solved. And their solution was revolutionary. The Stone Carvers became the undisputed masters of water. They didn't just manage water, they reimagined its very capture and conservation. They turned the desert's most destructive force, its sudden violent flash floods, into their greatest ally. This wasn't magic, it was hydraulic engineering so advanced, so meticulously planned, that it borders on genius.
Think about it. When the sky finally breaks open over a desert, the parched ground can't absorb the deluge fast enough. Water rushes down slopes in torrents, eroding everything in its path, then vanishes into the sand or evaporates under the harsh sun. Most people would see this as a fleeting disaster. The Stone Carvers saw an opportunity, a massive, untapped reservoir just waiting to be tamed. Their system began with a profound understanding of topography. They didn't just passively wait for rain, they engineered their entire landscape to catch it. They meticulously cleared vast stretches of hillsides and slopes, removing every piece of vegetation, every stone, every obstacle that might hinder water flow. This wasn't just tidying up, it was creating immense, impermeable catchment surfaces. Imagine entire mountain flanks transformed into gargantuan natural funnels, designed with one singular purpose: to direct every precious drop. This was their first monumental step, turning the very skin of the earth into an efficient water collector. But collecting it was only half the battle. They still needed to guide it. Once the flash floods started their roaring descent from these prepared catchments, the stone carvers had a network ready to receive them. They weren't just digging ditches, they were carving intricate, precision-engineered channels directly into the solid rock and compacted earth of the hillsides. These weren't crude, haphazard trenches. Oh no, these were miniature aqueducts designed with an almost obsessive level of accuracy. This was their first monumental step, turning the very skin of the earth into an efficient water collector. But collecting it was only half the battle. They still needed to guide it.
Each channel was carefully graded, meaning it had a precise, subtle slope to maximize the water's flow velocity while minimizing any chance of spillage or leakage. They understood hydraulics intimately. They knew the exact angles needed to move water efficiently across vast distances, often kilometers, ensuring that the precious liquid reached its intended destination before the desert could reclaim it. These channels weren't just practical, they were an elegant dance between human design and natural forces. Imagine standing on a high point during a rare desert storm. You'd witness not chaotic erosion, but a symphony of directed flow. Sheet after sheet of water cascading down the cleared slopes, being funneled into these arterial channels, all converging, all heading towards a secret, vital destination. It was a hydrological masterpiece, executed without modern tools, without advanced calculus, but with an intuitive grasp of engineering that beggars belief. They had mastered the art of seeing the water, not just where it was, but where it would be, and how to command its journey. But what was the ultimate destination for these carefully collected and guided torrents? This brings us to the true heart of the stone carver's genius, their storage systems. Now for the true marvel, the very core of their desert survival strategy. Where did all this meticulously collected and channeled water go? It didn't simply pool in open basins, exposed to the relentless sun. The stone carvers knew better. Evaporation in the Great Arid Expanse was a thief, constantly stealing back any moisture foolishly left uncovered. And enemies, well, enemies were always seeking the ultimate weapon: control over water. Their solution was audacious, painstaking, and brilliantly effective: underground cisterns. These weren't just holes in the ground, they were colossal, subterranean fortresses of water, carved deep into the living rock beneath their settlements, and even in remote, desolate areas. Imagine excavating a cavern the size of a modern concert hall, entirely by hand, using primitive tools in solid stone. That was the scale of their ambition. Once carved, these massive reservoirs were then painstakingly lined with a special waterproof plaster or stucco. This wasn't just to prevent leakage, it was to preserve the purity of the water, preventing contamination from the surrounding earth. The underground location was a triple threat against the desert's hostility. First, evaporation was virtually eliminated. Deep below the surface, insulated by tons of rock, the water remained cool, often chillingly so, losing almost nothing to the sun's hungry rays. Second, the water stayed pristine. Protected from airborne dust, debris, and animal contamination, it remained clean and potable for months, even years. And third, and perhaps most strategically critical, they were hidden. These hidden systems weren't just a convenience, they were a strategic masterstroke, a cornerstone of the stone carver's defense. Think about it from the perspective of an invading army. How do you conquer a people whose very existence defies the rules of the desert? You cut off their water. But how do you cut off what you cannot find? Ancient Greek historians, like the renowned Diodorus Siculus, explicitly recorded that the stone carvers deliberately kept the locations and methods of their subterranean water supplies a closely guarded secret from outsiders. This wasn't just a preference, it was state policy. It was literally a matter of national security. Imagine a foreign legion marching across the Great Arid Expanse, confident in their superior numbers and weaponry. They'd expect to find scattered wells, maybe an exposed spring. They'd plan their campaigns around these known water sources. But the stone carvers' territory was a mirage. To an outsider, it was an impassable, deadly wilderness. An army without water is an army condemned. Their soldiers would perish from thirst, their horses would collapse, their advance would grind to a halt long before they ever reached cliffside haven. These cisterns transformed their kingdom into an impenetrable fortress, not by walls and watchtowers, but by a cleverly engineered, invisible life support system. Their knowledge of water, and the lack of it for any outsider, was their ultimate deterrent, their invincible shield against any would-be conqueror. It was an intelligence coup 2 millennia before the concept of intelligence agencies even existed. They didn't just build reservoirs, they built an entire civilization around a secret. While their underground cisterns were the ultimate safeguard, the stone carvers also deployed other ingenious storage solutions, especially for managing the sheer volume of water delivered by powerful flash floods. They built large surface reservoirs and diversion dams across wadis, the dry riverbeds that briefly surge with water during storms. These structures weren't just for drinking water, they were critical for irrigation, capturing enormous quantities of water for agricultural use. But here's another layer of their genius. Water collected during flash floods is often laden with silt, mud, and other particles. Drinking this could cause sickness, and using it directly for delicate irrigation could clog channels and deposit unwanted sediment on fields. The stone carvers had a solution: particle settling basins. These were specially designed areas, often strategically placed before the main storage facilities, where the incoming water was allowed to slow down. As the water velocity decreased, the heavier particles, sand, silt, organic matter, would naturally settle to the bottom. This acted as a rudimentary yet highly effective purification system. It ensured that the water entering their precious cisterns and irrigation networks was significantly cleaner, reducing contamination and maintaining the integrity of their infrastructure. This forethought, this understanding of not just collecting water but also managing its quality, speaks volumes about their scientific and engineering acumen. They weren't just improvising, they had a comprehensive, multi-stage strategy for every aspect of water management, from rainfall to consumption. An abundant water supply is one thing, but how do you feed tens of thousands of people, sustain livestock, and grow crops in the heart of a desert? Again, the stone carvers defied expectations with their agricultural prowess. They didn't just bring water to the desert, they taught the desert how to grow. Their farming techniques were as innovative as their hydraulic engineering. One remarkable method involved planting single fruit trees or other valuable crops within carefully constructed contoured funnels. These weren't elaborate structures, but subtle depressions or small berms built around the base of each plant. The genius lay in their simplicity. Any meager local rainfall that did occur, even a tiny amount, would be precisely directed and concentrated directly to the roots of that specific plant. No water was wasted. Every drop was utilized with surgical precision. Beyond individual plant care, they also employed extensive terraced fields on slopes. You might think of terraces for rice paddies, but the stone carvers adapted the concept for arid conditions.
These terraced steps on hillsides were designed to slow down the flow of any runoff water, allowing it to percolate deeper into the soil at each level, maximizing moisture retention for the crops planted there. It was a sophisticated form of erosion control and water conservation, turning otherwise unusable slopes into productive agricultural land. They cultivated a variety of crops, from grains to grapes, even exotic spices, transforming patches of the seemingly barren land into verdant oases. This wasn't just subsistence farming, it was large-scale, sustainable agriculture that provided food security for their entire kingdom, a feat that astounds modern agronomists. The result of this unparalleled mastery of water was not just survival, but unprecedented prosperity. Through their ingenious, comprehensive, and highly precise water management system, the stone carvers achieved what was thought impossible. They sustained vast populations. Their capital, Cliffside Haven, alone could support upwards of 25,000 people, a massive urban center for its time, all in the middle of a desert. Imagine the logistical nightmare of feeding and watering that many people without their system. They supported extensive agriculture. From their desert farms, they produced enough food to feed their populace, reducing reliance on costly imports and bolstering their self-sufficiency. They established a dominant trade empire. With a constant, secure source of water, they controlled the crucial Crimson Sands route. Water wasn't just a necessity, it was a strategic commodity, a bargaining chip, and a magnet for caravans traversing the deadly expanse. Traders knew that only in the stone carvers' territory could they reliably replenish their precious water supplies. This gave them immense economic and political leverage. Their expertise in hydraulics and conservation wasn't just an ancient curiosity. It represents one of the most significant achievements of the ancient world. It's a powerful reminder that limitations are often self-imposed, and that human ingenuity, when faced with extreme challenges, can devise solutions that reshape the very landscape of possibility. What can we learn from the stone carvers 2,000 years later? In a world grappling with climate change, increasing desertification, and growing water scarcity, their story resonates with incredible power. They didn't wait for rain to be plentiful, they engineered an abundance from scarcity. They didn't merely adapt to their environment, they fundamentally transformed their interaction with it. Their legacy is a masterclass in resourcefulness, seeing potential where others saw only desolation. Long-term vision, building systems designed to last for centuries, not just seasons. Sustainable engineering, creating solutions that worked with nature, not against it, minimizing waste and maximizing efficiency. Strategic planning, understanding that fundamental resources are the bedrock of power and prosperity. The stone carvers remind us that even in the face of the most daunting environmental challenges, human innovation, creativity, and persistent effort can unlock solutions previously deemed impossible. They turned a death trap into a cradle of civilization. Their silent structures, etched into the desert rock, still whisper tales of defiance and triumph. They stand as a testament to what a determined people can achieve when they refuse to surrender to their circumstances.